Hello and welcome to Retrotainment. Back here with my co-host, capital C, capital O, Greg. How are you doing, buddy?
What's happening, homie?
Well, nothing much, nothing much. Just finishing up our creature feature February.
I mean, it definitely works better than rom-com February anyway. Well, for us it does anyway.
It does for us. There's a few rom-coms that we'd watch, but overall we'd prefer to watch the creature feature, so that's what we went with. This one was we kind of had to decide which one we were going to do last because we were deciding between this and something else, and we did decide on this film, Reign of Fire, in the end. Which I'm glad,
closer to home. This one,
yeah, I'm glad we went with this one because I haven't watched it in quite a while now. So I was glad that we did go for this one.
I'm going bold here. This is the best dragon movie. Fact.
It's definitely up there. Definitely up there. Released in 2002, has terrible ratings though. As much as I do enjoy it, it's rated terribly.
Apart from How to Train Your Dragon, I'm pretty sure every dragon movie, like live action dragon movie, has terrible ratings.
Yeah, but some of them I think deserve it, whereas this one I don't think deserves this bad.
No, this one doesn't. No, this and Dragonheart are probably the two best live action.
I suppose you could technically argue that The Hobbit is up there, as much as I dislike the fact that they dragged The Hobbit out for 3 films.
Yeah, 100%.
If you don't drag it out for 3 films, I think it's quite a good one.
It's not solely based off the dragon. You see him for, well, actually the third one is, isn't it? The third one is.
The problem is that they extend the first 2 out so much.
Yeah,
it takes too long to get to the dragon. If they just actually made it 2 films, it would have been fine. But yeah, 42% by 173 critics and 49% by the audience, which I think is very low according to Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, dragon movies never really take off, do they? Apart from obviously How to Train Your Dragon, which was Pixar and Disney or Disney.
Yeah, it's a different sort of thing though, because that's a kids film.
That's the one that took off with everybody. But any kind of dragon movie, I remember even Dragonheart is you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah, but I think, you know what I mean? Like, that's How to Train Your Dragon is a kid's film. Like, a lot of adults do love it, but at the same time, it's a different story. Like, you're not, it's a very different story to what this story is,
Yeah, this for me, it was so fun good. And then finding out that they made it in obviously in Bray and Glendalough and a couple of places around close to us, like.
It did not do well in the cinema. Box office of 82.2 million, which is not great. You're thinking 2002, that's not great.
It's still like a lot of English movies don't do too major in the box office anyway.
Possibly not, but that's not great considering the cast that you have in this either.
Well, these weren't major at the time either.
They wouldn't have been major, but they would have been big enough stars as well.
McConaughey. Jared Butler wouldn't have been.
Jared Butler mightn't have been. McConaughey was.
Christian Bale definitely wasn't in 2002.
McConaughey was a pretty big star.
I know he done that one with Samuel L. in prison, A Time to Kill, is it?
Yeah.
But there wasn't many before that. I don't think he was but I'll tell you what, he's in the best shape of his career in this movie.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it's him if, it wasn't accredited to him. It doesn't look like him.
As you can see it there on your left-hand side there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like
sorry, when I'm looking at it's on my left, it might be on your right. That's Matthew McConaughey there, the bald head and the beard.
Yeah, you wouldn't guess it's him if you didn't know, like.
Yeah. And he is jacked.
He is, yeah. It's like, it is what it is. It's a creature feature, and I did read some of the reviews, and this is where I thought they were a little bit unfair. A lot of people said you don't get to see enough of the dragon, but like that's what other creature features get praised for the minimal use of the creature.
Jaws obviously being the biggest of them.
Yeah, like they get praised for the lack of use of the creature, whereas this is toned down in it. Now, I suppose that's because people want to see more of the dragon. And I suppose you probably should. If it's a big dragon going around and it's meant to have burnt half the world and flying around eating people, it probably should be a bit more active, especially if there's meant to be this many of them. You should be seeing them a bit more often. And I probably would have liked to see a little bit more of the dragons, but I don't think there was too little of them either.
I think when you see them, they're used very well.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like obviously we'll get to it later on, but seeing the castle, the scene on the strawberry fields, when you see them, they're used very, very well.
They are, yeah. And that's the thing, like they're used sparingly, but they're done well when they are used.
Yeah. Well, I'd say it was expensive to do that with CGI as well at the time.
2002, it would have been, it still is now, but it would have been even more then, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're done well in CGI as well. They're not terrible looking.
This is, I think, is maybe apart from the Hobbit, is probably the best looking dragon, even better than Dragonheart.
In CGI, in terms of film, yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think anyone can really argue with that.
Yeah, the way this film starts is a bit strange, but like you get very early on that it's set in England, Ireland sort of area, because you get the kid walking into the building site, nobody's stopping him, and he's just he's shooting the shit back and forth with all the workers and stuff.
Yeah, miners,
it's a real banter filled little exchange.
It's gas, isn't it? And they just tell him, "Are you going to work?"
Yeah. But the one bit that like always seemed weird to me here is he gets down, they're doing the drilling. They're like, we had to stop drilling because we ran into something. And your man's like, go in there and have a look. This is some kid. He doesn't have a hard hat. He doesn't have anything. They send him into this hole. And you're
them's were the good things. But what I love was, they said they ran into a space, a void. And it was just opened up into a chasm. Like, you're not going to let a kid go in there.
No one else had gone in before him. They sent him in first. You go in there, go and have a look.
And all in all, his ma is the boss.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And then, like, this this probably is a little bit of a letdown. Like, you see the dragon, right? And you only catch a glimpse of it, and it spits in his eyes.
It's trying to ignite
it's trying to ignite the napalm in its throat, but it just spits in his eyes, and you can see it kind of burns the underside of his eyes and stuff.
The thing in this, though, the little bit of makeup that they done for that, his eyes, where they obviously put the contacts in, and his eyes are starting to go black.
Yeah,
and the ma cops it very quickly.
Yeah, and she starts pouring the water in. And I think, it's a little bit, unbelievable. Like, why didn't the dragon just kill him and let him escape?
Why didn't it just ate him? Yeah.
Yeah, but then, I suppose you hear that the dragon's been asleep for this many years, and you're like, okay, I suppose that, if you've just woken up from a long sleep, you're not, it takes you a little while to get back to yourself.
Love a good old sleep.
But he gets back to himself pretty quickly, because after she washes his eyes out and they decide they're going to go up in the little lift thing,
the lads get scorched.
You see the big ball of fire coming towards them as they're in the lift, and then it just climbs up, and that's the end of them. It leaves him here and kills the mother.
Well, I think she dies in the shock of it.
No, you can see that there's like a big scratch across her throat. So, like, obviously something hits into it, and he just leaves the kid and off he goes.
Big
and
unit.
Then it goes down to just like someone writing a little story, and you're like, okay, where's this being written from? Is this from him, or is it, are we getting a flashback in time to somebody else writing it? And we learn it's just the kid as he's grown older describing what happened.
It's amazing to think, like, the story they build off that starts the world.
Yeah, the world's burned to ashes because the dragons feed off ashes, which is what we learn. They don't feed off people, which is why they burn everything to the ground.
It's like they inhale the ashes,
Yeah, and that's why they go back into a slumber again after that, because once they've burnt everything to the ground, they needed to be rebuilt back up.
I will say, when he's reading out the what he's writing, and he's like, it turns out that the dragons actually killed the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And brought on the Ice Age.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? Like, because it explains, right, why did they drill into this and there was just a dragon there? Because you'd be like, well, where the fuck did the dragon come from? Oh, it was just slumber. Like, it puts itself to sleep underground until the world is rebuilt back up for it to eat again.
And someone moves it,
Yeah, so, like, it is a good little story. And then we get to see that, everyone's split out into these little, like, colonies. They're living in this massive castle that's obviously, they're kind of living underground. They're living in the castle, but they've dug out underground for safety.
Yeah.
And then they're growing crops and stuff.
The ground.
Yeah, and then there's, there's little, like, a vegetable patch and stuff out the way. And this is like, we see that, this has been going on a while, and people are a bit restless because some of the lads are like, no, we're going out to get the food now. And he's like, if you get the food now, we won't have enough to plant again next year. And you'll just, like, you basically kill us. And they were like, but we're hungry now. Fucking hell, lads.
I mean, he does have a point.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? What's the point in planning for next year if you're not going to make it through this year?
But they've made it through enough years at this point, Like, you have to keep
in mind,
like,
I get that.
He was a kid when this dragon first came up. And he's now, like, probably in his like 30s or whatever, you're guessing.
Yeah. They never actually state an age.
They never say an age, but he's at that sort of age. So you're like, yeah, you probably should just listen to him.
Oh yeah, you'd 100% just listen to him because he's the one that looks like you can tell he's running the.
Yeah, but
he's running the roost, like.
Yeah, and he takes the keys off them, and then he goes back, and we see them.
I love this though, when he takes the keys, he's just like, I'm taking these.
Yeah, I like that. They go back and they do the little he does the prayer with the kid, like you see them doing the little acting of the cinema, and basically the cinema they're doing Star Wars.
Did you write that, Grady? Yeah.
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah.
do the Lion King.
Yeah, do the Lion King. No, we're going to say our prayer, and I thought this was a bit weird because like they're going to do a prayer. I was like, I don't know. Like if I'd lived through, seeing the world burned to the ground, I probably wouldn't be hugely into prayer. But then the prayer is, when you
wave away dragons.
Yeah, but it's like it's a prayer, but it's actually more of an instruction. It's like similar to the stop, drop, and roll thing you learn as a kid.
Yeah.
If you if you're awake and you see a dragon, you go underground. When you're asleep, you keep one eye open for the dragon, and stuff like that. It's smart.
I mean, that actually becomes quite prevalent quite soon after, because remember when they're asleep and the little kid wakes up
and he says, "I think I heard dragon breath."
They're telling me it's dragon breath. He's like, it's just a wind, and then the dragon actually appears.
Yeah, well, it appears because these assholes go out in the middle of they steal the keys back in the middle of the night, and they go out to pick the food, and they're not picking it for anybody else because they're just eating it as they're picking it.
Scoffing at the bastards.
Little bastards. And as that happens, sure, doesn't a dragon fly over and just burn the crops to the ground?
I love how you see the two lads standing there, and then you see the rocks falling.
Yeah.
Go get Jerry. And the other lad just stands there. Like, I'd be on my bike halfway up that. You know what's coming over that mountain.
Yeah, fucking, like, I'm not waiting here so that I'm the one that dies so you can get to the other lad. Let's just fucking both go for it.
He got snapped up too.
He did, yeah. And then, the whole place is getting burned to the ground, and it looks like they're, the boys that went out are goners.
Did you notice what the dragon does here? So he encases them.
Yeah, it's all around. He goes
around, and they've nowhere to go. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. So the dragon knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, like the dragon doesn't particularly eat people.
Yeah, well, he ate that first guy.
He does, but it's like they don't sustain themselves off people. They sustain themselves off ash. So he's just like, I'll burn as much as I can and keep them in the middle. And then we see the little tank thing come up,
I love how they have the little sprinklers that are on the tires to keep them from bursting.
Yeah, and then it looks like they have big guns on the top of the tanks, but they're not. They're little fire hoses. Yeah. Put them all out.
Save them.
He does save them, and they, a couple of the trucks do get burnt out in the going out to rescue these lads, which, probably shouldn't have gone to rescue them.
His son gets killed here as well.
Yeah, but they probably shouldn't have gone to rescue these lads. Like, they were told not to go.
Fuck them guys.
You were told not to go, and you fucking did. Like, what more?
Jerry is an absolute cock, and you find it out later on as well.
He's a cock later on as well, yeah. But he gets them back, and they're like, right, you guys are fucking assholes that just did that, but we've got you back, and everyone's alive. Like, let's just focus on that. The crops are gone, so we're gonna have to do something next year now because you're after doing that. And that's where you learn that they don't eat people, because it's when they're driving off. Quinn,
like, they've no interest in us.
Yeah, Quinn says it. He's like, they've no interest in us. They'll feed on the ash there, and it's just one dragon.
Yeah, and he's just scaling around the floor.
But they get back to the shelter, and they're kind of discussing it, and then we see someone rocking up outside. And when the first time you watch it, you're like, what the fuck? where are these boys coming from, and where'd they get all these like massive tanks and shit?
Yeah, they're proper absolute tanks.
Yeah, and then they think they're marauders, and they go out with the guns, and they're like, right, we'll sort these boyos out. Nobody's getting in here.
I love the word here now, and they're all standing on the thing, and he's like, and you see Van Zandt come out for the first time. He's like, "What's worse than marauders? What's worse than dragons?
Yeah,
Americans."
Only one thing worse than dragons: Americans.
He can't know that he's American. I know he has the American flag on his top, but you can't see that.
Yeah, but you kind of do know, like, who's wandering around with the American flag on their top like that, and the way they present themselves as well is real kind of arrogant.
I love after they have the little conversation just after he goes out to him, and he's letting them in, and Van Zandt is sitting on the fucking cannon of the tank.
Yeah, there is this is probably one of the inaccuracies in the film. Like, how the fuck did they get across
the Atlantic?
Yeah, like they say, that we got on a plane, but you're like, you'd have like 4 or 5 tanks and quite a lot of people in them. You're like,
cargo tanks or cargo plane, maybe.
Yeah, but he doesn't say
that. A dragon definitely has to take that out of the air before it gets there.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, it's a little inaccurate, like that the Americans have showed up here. Maybe like they could have probably just used anyone else.
Unless they maybe came off one of the islands.
No, because they even, like, Van Zandt says they flew from America. So you're just like, okay, it's a little questionable, but
we'll let them away with it. It's a movie about dragons. You can't hold everything.
They just needed somebody here. And they bring Van Zandt in, and he lets Van Zandt in after like talking to him. He's like, I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't talking shit when he was talking about being a dragon killer, and he has the tooth around his neck.
I love how he's like, we have a chopper too.
Yeah, and it just flies in as he lets everyone in, and it just lands down.
I love it though when he just comes in, he's just riding the tank in.
Yeah, and I love his explanation of how do you kill, like, how are you killing these dragons? And he's like, well, they can see pretty well at day, and you're like, okay, they can't see at night. And he's like, and they can see even better at night, and you're like, okay, so where the fuck are you going with this?
Twilight.
And he's like, it's kind of when the sun is setting, that twilight time, that's when they're weakest. So that's when we hunt them. And you're like, okay, how many times did you just have to go for this before you just learned that?
How many lads have you lost?
Yeah.
Loads.
But he tells them, well, how do you kill them? He's like, oh, well, we go up in the chopper. One guy jumps out, he's the bait, and then the other 2 jump out and like net the dragon. And then once we have it down, just kill it. Like, it's still just like anything else, flesh. And like, this is what I like. They don't go with the idea that the dragon is, big armored scales and stuff. Like, it's obviously tougher to penetrate. Yeah, they're like, it's tougher than us. Like, bullets will kind of just hit it and not kill it. But like, once you hit the heart or the brain, it's going down.
And I love where it's like, he's like, it's here, right in the chest.
Yeah. But just as the Americans arrive, the dragon kind of follows in at twilight, and you're like, of course, like right as they get in.
Well, I mean, they do come in a chopper.
Yeah, so it probably does follow them. But as it gets in, they're like, right, let's get out, and they put their plan into action. One guy jumps out, and the other 2 follow.
I love how they won't do anything without the triangulators up, and the 3 lads on the bikes go off.
Yeah, and they get 2 of them down, and the 3rd guy gets blasted off the bike.
He gets smushed.
Yeah, and I like that, this is when Quinn is like, right, I'll get out on the horse and I'll put that down. So they get it, and then they have like a 3D mapping of the area.
What's chasing them,
Yeah, and then it does not go well. The first guy jumps out, they throw the nets, and it looks like they get him. They get the wings in, and you're like, okay, they got it.
He doesn't even jump out. He gets knocked out.
Yeah, but when they jump out after him, like, they're following the dragon down, and they can't really see the dragon, but they manage to hit it with the nets. And you're like, okay,
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, but you're like, okay, he's managed it, and then they see the nets fly back up, and they're like, those nets just came back up. I think he's still on you. And your man turns around, sees the dragon, and doesn't have time to pull his parachute before he fucking smashes into the ground.
Well, it doesn't matter if he pulled the parachute, he was getting eaten.
Yeah, but even if he pulled that parachute, he was too close to the ground. He was already fucking smashed into it by the time.
Oh yeah, no, but that's what I mean. Like, which would you prefer? Would you prefer to get eaten, or would you prefer to hit the ground and die almost instantly? Because I know where I'm choosing.
I'd say you're dead pretty instantly when that dragon eats you anyway.
Yeah, probably.
I
But
think it's
I think I'd be chancing the ground.
not at that speed. I think I'd have taken my chances of pulling the cord and hoping that
hoping you go up over him.
hoping like some sort of wind catches me and blows me off to the side or something. Yeah. But the second guy that's chasing, it just turns around and eats him. That's the end of him.
Yeah, he just gets all sorts of fucked up, doesn't he?
And the third guy looks like he's going to make it, gets the parachute out and everything, looks like he's about to land. And then the heartbeat just disappears. And you're like, oh, we know what happened to you.
What happened to that guy? Oh, he is trouble.
he done got.
He done got, my friend.
But the dragon, the dragon then decides going to chase Quinn on his horse. And Van Zandt says to him, he's like, just get the dragon close to me. I'll take it down. And I think this shot looks great because you see, like they show it through the crosshair that Van Zandt is looking through. And you see Quinn come up over the ridge with the horse and he fires the second Quinn gets over that ridge. You know, you can't even see it.
He knew where it's coming, yeah.
Yeah, he knows the dragon's behind him and he's like, I can't wait for the dragon to be there because then, you know, it's already too late because the projectile has to travel that distance. So he fires it, and just as the dragon ridges, straight down the throat.
Yeah, shot and a half in it.
Yeah, it's a great shot, and you know everyone starts celebrating afterwards, like all the ones that like had lived there, not his army men. And I like this, like he comes in and he's such a dick about it. He's like, "Look at you all celebrating. You make me sick. Like that was one dragon, you know, and we lost men to it. You make me sick." And
Van Zandt is an absolute cock.
Yeah, and like he just kills the party because they're all like, "Oh, yeah, okay."
That's where they should have turned around and had someone smart being like, "But we didn't lose anybody."
Yeah, true, but at the same point, I probably wouldn't have said that to him because, you know, as much as
he looked like he was in a foul mood too.
He looked like he was a bit on the fucking edge anyway. He probably would have killed you. But this is when we see Alex, who's the woman who drives the chopper. The three people that died are the people that she's obviously closest to because they obviously go around in the chopper with her. And they go off to the side and they're kind of discussing how the dragons work. And we learn that they have two glands in their throat, one that produces one chemical and one that produces the other. And then they combine together and that makes with the air, that's how they breathe fire. We also learn that they're all female dragons and that there's only one male dragon.
I just on that there where you're saying like that's where they learn how they've done it. He's like, yeah, we had a chemical engineer. He died.
Yeah, he died. But
okay. Like think he got sparked.
He either got sparked or, you know, just died of starvation. It could have been anything, you know?
No, but it's just like we had a chemical engineer. He died.
Yeah. Probably playing with, you know, trying to figure out how the dragons did it. Yeah. But, you know, we learned that this is he's like, do you see that big bull that we took down outside? And like Van Zandt's saying to Quinn, he's like, see the big bull we took out? Quinn's like, yeah. He's like, that's only a female. That's not the big ones. And he's like, there's only one male. If we can kill that, if we kill that, we kill off the entire species. The entire species. He's like, there's only one male. It flies over and the females lay the eggs, it flies over and basically.
That's basically what a scorpion does. So scorpion females just lay eggs and.
Yeah, and that's what he says. It's just like that. They lay the eggs, he flies over, you know.
I'm not sure how they know there's only one male, really, but.
I don't know. And it seems this is probably another little bit of an issue. Like there's one male and the entire species survives off just him.
Yeah, so what happens when that male dies?
We see that's the thing. That male has obviously been alive since
the Ice Age.
Since the first time the dragons were around. So you're kind of like,
does that tell you that the male that they don't age? Is that what that's trying to say?
Sort of, like, because it obviously hibernates, but you know, then it just comes out and there's, you know, it's back to its best, so no big issue for it. But
I love how he's like, I've seen it.
Yeah, he quit. Like Van Zandt's like, we're gonna hunt it down and kill it, and it's in London. And Quinn tells him, he's like, you have not seen the damage it can do. Like there was another group just a little bit down the way. They made their way to London, got attacked, went back to their stronghold. It followed them. they're all dead now. He's like, you've not seen the devastation of this. And Van Zandt's just like, I don't care. I'm
It's
taking
happening.
whatever men I can get are coming with me, and we're hunting that thing down and killing it.
This is the real embattled scene between the two of them, isn't it? Where they're
Yeah,
like, he's like, you're not taking anybody from here.
yeah. And this is again, you see certain
See
people.
Jerry.
Jerry fucking signs up straight away. The one that
Yeah.
hurts is obviously the young boy that Quinn has basically raised. Jared, he's like, Jared, you don't need to go. And Jared's like, well, I'm not waiting here to like
To starve.
to starve. And he's like, you know how long those jumpers have? Like, it's a
17
very
seconds.
short. It's a 17-second life between, like, you either live that 17 seconds and continue on, or you die, and that's the end of you. And he's like, I'd rather take that risk. You're like, man, you're a dick. This guy picked you up when you were abandoned. Like, and he tells a story, Joe. I walked by, found him like cradling his mother when he was 3 years old. She'd been dead for days. Like, this guy took you in, raised you, everything, and you're gonna turn your back on him straight away because this fucking American lad comes in who's a bit mental.
I forgot to say to you, you know the scene where they're doing Star Wars?
Yeah,
You know the little baldy kid that's like, do you know who
yeah.
that is?
No,
That's King Goffrey
is
from Game
it?
of Thrones. Yeah,
Jesus, the little shit.
yeah. Little
Well,
cock
he
couldn't keep his mouth shut in the cinema.
little bastard talking during the film. What a fucking prick.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
that's I think what's his name? Something. Jack Gleason? No, Jack something.
yeah. No, you're right. Jack Gleason. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's him.
or is it Gleason? It's
No, it
definitely.
mightn't be Gleason, but yeah,
I
it's
don't,
something like that.
but yeah, they learned that this is just the one female dragon, and then they're heading out, and a bit of a scrap breaks out. An old fisticuffs breaks out
No,
between the
this
two.
isn't even a fisticuffs. This is Christian Bale landing 2 slaps and getting battered.
He gets battered, but he does seem to get a few shots in as well. Because I thought he'd get absolutely battered, but when Van Zandt gets him on the ground,
Yeah, he's an animal, isn't he?
they all pull him off, and then Alex comes over and she's like, don't try this with him. Like, he's not right in the head. Like, he will kill you.
Do you notice his tattoo in this is very, very similar to George Clooney's in From Dusk Till Dawn?
No, I didn't even notice that actually.
It's like the tribal designed thing around his arm and his back and his chest.
Yeah, but they eventually they do go on, and this is when we get to see the male dragon again. We've only seen like a real quick glimpse of it as it broke free at the start of the film.
He's a unit now, though.
Yeah, and he's a unit when he breaks out as well. It's not like he was small then either. But we only saw his head really when he first escapes.
Yeah, he spits up one of the chemicals. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Jesus Christ, they're they're in all the tanks, and Alex is sent off in the chopper to see if she can scout out around because they're trying to find another way around. And you kind of hear the noise behind you, and Van Sant said it. He says, "It's not attacking. It's playing with us. Yeah, it's setting us up." And then it turns around and fuck it, it just destroys them. He manages to get underneath the tank, but that
I'm not
doesn't.
sure how he survives either, though, because like he blows it out and he continuously blows it.
Yeah, it's plot armor is what it is, really.
Oh yeah, but like it's like I understand someone had to survive it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was always going to be Van Zandt.
The thing is that you would have thought that a couple of other people would have managed to roll under one of the tanks.
Yeah.
And no one else manages it. But I do like that, he completely wipes out. Like the male dragon just completely wipes out one swoop, and that's them all dead. And then when Alex gets back, she gets Van Zandt, and they start making their way back to the.
Well, those things that one of the other ones survive as well, because remember he puts him over his shoulder. Because the army carries him. You never find out who that is, really.
Yeah, it's just some randomer, but they make their way back. Like, they start making their way back, and as they're making their way back, we see that Jared didn't actually leave. He's out in the fields as they're trying to resow all the crops. And we hear the warning bell, and they fucking hightail it.
The guy that rings the warning bell, right? Is he your man from Harry Potter? The fellow with the cat?
I don't know. You don't see him really enough to know if it's him or not. Yeah. I don't know if he's the guy who played Filch.
I think he might be.
Could be.
I didn't look it up now, but I think
you
he
don't
might be.
you don't really get to see enough of him. Like he's only really there to ring it. They get back, and we learned that what Quinn had said was right. That dragon,
Stalks back, yeah.
it stalked them back, and it fucking
Well, no,
destroys
because they haven't made it back yet.
but it knows where they are. It follows the tracks, and it just goes right. I'm gonna fuck you boys up, and he does.
I know. There's this scene here is brilliant where they're getting everyone downstairs, and they get all the kids now, and then obviously Quinn runs up, picks up the two that won't leave. It's always one stupid little cunt of a girl that won't let go of the wall or won't let go of the bar.
Yeah, but and you think this is going to be where Quinn meets his maker, or one of them meets their one of them gets killed, and they don't. They get everyone down into the safe zone, and then they hear a couple of other screams from obviously some of the adults, because they're like, well, we've got all the kids.
That's all they really needed downstairs, and if you're an adult, you didn't make it down.
Yeah, it's kind of on your own, but Quinn says he'll go back up with the fire extinguisher, and he's gonna try and save them. And Creedy says it. He's like, no, you're needed here. I'll go up. And as he goes out the door,
I love how the camera pans out here, and you see the dragon on top of the castle.
Yeah,
and you can see him building it up, and he blows down
straight through the castle. Yeah, and Quinn manages to slam the door behind him.
No, the gas slams the door shut.
No, Creedy actually you can see Creedy pulls it. So
I always thought it was just
No, Creedy pulls it because it looks like, and this is where Creedy maybe had time to get it back in, but in the time it took him to get back in and then close the door, it might have been too late and they could have all died. So he just turns around and slams the door behind him, and then they all
smoked.
Yeah, he's dead, and they do their little
they do a lovely little bit here. Obviously, when the door slams shut, you see Quinn trying to push it open.
Yeah,
and you see him, and he's like, because it's obviously getting hot.
Yeah, and then they do the little prayer. I love the bit they go to their their little prayer about the dragon. If you see the dragon hide and all this, but Quinn can't even get through it. He says the first line, and he tries to say the second line 2 or 3 times, and he just can't.
Yeah, and then it's taken over.
Yeah, one of the women that obviously lives there with them just takes it over and continues it on, and it calms everyone else down. But you can see that he wouldn't have been able to get through that.
Creedy's obviously
Creedy's his best friend. Yeah. And then they hear, you don't really know if it's later that day or if it's,
I'd imagine it's a couple of hours later.
It's a couple of hours, because you hear the rubble being moved outside, and he's joyous because he thinks it's Creedy, and unfortunately he opens it.
Creedy might be on the step.
Yeah, he opens it and it's not. It's Van Zandt and Paige, or Alex, not Paige. Paige Van Zandt.
Paige.
No, Alex and Van Zandt, and he's just like.
I love it though. You only see Alex really.
Yeah.
But you can hear the grunting, and it's not even words. It's just him going.
Yeah, but his head then pops up, and he's like, "You're right. It followed us back." You're like, "You're fucking right. It followed us back. Look at the state of this place." But they make the decision, right? The 3 of us will go to London, and he tells them, he's like, I know where it lives.
Yeah.
And they were like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, I saw it when it escapes, I know where it lives.
I was the first one to see it.
Yeah. So they make their way off, and they're going to London, and they have the plan. They land on the outside, just on the outskirts, and he's like, if we won't survive outside, we need to get underground. And as they're about to do that, we see, and I think this scene looks great. It's when all of the dragons raise up out of London, and they go to fly off, and then you see the big male dragon come in, and he just eats one of the other dragons.
Yeah, there's not enough.
Yeah, and they say there's obviously not enough food for him, so they're just resorting to cannibalism. And you'd wonder, is that after, when he decides to go into hibernation, is after he's killed all of the females, because they obviously just lay their eggs around the world, and he just, when he wakes up from thing, dragon eggs last forever.
He goes and whacks it and gets on with it.
He goes to hibernates, wakes back up when the world's repopulated, and repopulates the dragon race. But they managed to make it onto the thing, and we see their plan. They've got 3 arrowheads with explosives in them.
John Rambo here.
Yeah, they've got the 3 arrowheads, or is it 3 or 2? It's definitely
There's
2.
three. There's three.
There's 3, but we never see the third one get used in
No,
the end.
Alex has one.
Yeah, and never uses it.
Quinn has one, and Van Zandt has one.
Yeah, and we see, they decide they're going to split up. Alex is going to go one way, Quinn's going to go the other, and then Van Zandt's going to go the other. So they're going to they're still using that system of the 3 prongs to get a visual on it.
Yeah,
and we see Quinn goes running off and he has to duck under the dragon. So he rolls on the ground and then he gets to his area. He starts patting himself down, and he's like, "Oh crap! I've lost my."
That's what can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah. One thing I did like here is before he ran off, Van Zandt gets him and goes, "Don't load that until you're in your position, because if he loads that when he's like, if he makes that rolling, like if he tries to do that roll and it's loaded, it's probably just he'll just fire it and that's him dead. Like that's one of their weapons gone and him dead. Like
yeah, it's very tactical in the way they do it.
Yeah, like your man's made his plan how he's going to do it, and Van Zandt, it comes to Van Zandt eventually, and the first shot he fires and it hits. It does hit.
This is the most ridiculous, amazing sacrifice scene you'll ever see.
He's on top of this massive building and he jumps off with this
just on a pillar,
this massive axe that he's been carrying around for ages. Like, what the fuck does he have that?
I love it though, like, because he see him and he's like, yeah, come on. Yeah. And he misses. Like, he doesn't miss, but he hits it, but it explodes outside him, so it doesn't do much damage.
Yeah.
And he rolls back and he's like, fuck it.
I just jump off this massive building.
He doesn't even think to try and go down the ladder or anything. He's just like, fuck it.
Jumps off, and like, you're either going to land that thing in the dragon's head and it's going to collapse to the ground, and in which case you'd probably still die on impact, or
it'd be worth it.
Yeah, it would, or it's going to eat you, and it was option 2.
And you see him, but like his jump looks so good because he full on Superman's it.
Oh yeah, he commits to this jump. Like there's no like, I don't know.
His look when he gets up and he picks up the axe, he's like, yeah, this is what's happening.
But that's what they say. They said he's completely insane. Like that the way the world is, he's lost his mind. Like this is everything to him.
Yeah, I mean, like if he kills it and dies himself, it's a bonus.
He'd have been happy, to be honest. He would have been happy to go down in history as the guy who killed him.
Yeah,
nothing else would have mattered to him. Like he wouldn't have cared if he lived or died, I don't think.
Yeah,
but
I love it though. He has a big smile on his face when he jumps.
Yeah,
and you see Alex looking at him, and she's just like,
"You fucking idiot." And then she gets over to Quinn, and he's like, "I lost the arrow." She's like, "For fuck's sake!" And she's like, "It's over."
She doesn't just give him
her one. I know, yeah, but they maybe thought, well, we still need the other one. So where is it? And she's like, "It's over there by the car." He's like, "Right, I'll run over there now." So he sprints over, and he gets to it, which is fair enough. But it looks like he's not going to have time to load it.
He couldn't pull the
thing back, yeah. And she comes out with her gun and just starts shooting the dragon.
I love the dragon. He just walks casually around the corner. It's just kind of like,
yeah,
"Oh, that's up."
He knows they're there. Like he is stalking them. Like we've seen that he,
yeah.
He's
calculated.
He's calculating in what he's doing. But we get to see the stare down 1-on-1, big dragon. And see, this is probably what people mean when you don't see enough of the dragon. Like you see the dragon when it kills like Van Zandt, and then you see it like 1-on-1 face up here, and then that's it. Probably could have done a bit more with the male dragon, but probably. I don't think it takes away from the film that much.
I don't think it's enough to score it at a 40.
No, I don't think it drops it massively. But I like that it inhales, it gets ready to blow out the fire, and it's as he does that, that's when Quinn takes the risk. He's like, "I'll hold off for as long as I can till I see that mouth open." And
but he does say, Van Zandt does say that to him, doesn't he? He says, "Once you get your chance, you're going to be right in the firing line."
Yeah. So, and as it opens his mouth, he fires it down, and he hits, hits sweet straight down the throat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big target.
It is a big target, but I like this. It kills it, and then obviously they go back home. You don't really see them going back, but you do see him pick up the axe as they're leaving London.
But even though the axe, I'm 100% sure gets swallowed.
Yeah, it probably does, but it's a nice little touch. And then they fly,
Yeah,
like they obviously fly back to where they were, and he's out, and they're putting up fucking washing or something. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. And Jared comes up on the horse. He's like, we've got contact. We've got contact. He's like, yeah, okay, good, good.
they're speaking French.
They're speaking French. Well, I don't speak French, so you better send them through to the captain, and that's you, Jared.
Yeah,
And
they're asking for the leader. That's you, sir.
yeah, which is a nice little touch. He hands it off. He's like, yeah, you're now the leader of all these people. And then he mentions, haven't seen a dragon in 3 months. So you're kind of thinking, right, they must have died out now. It's a bit quick for them all to have died out because you saw how many of them left London. And
or maybe they've just scarpered to
possibly, but like you saw how many of them left London when they were there. And these things are meant to have burned the entire world to the ground, like New York, like all across the world is meant to be the same as same as England. Like, so you're kind of thinking, Jesus, they
rushed the ending a little bit.
3 months isn't a lot to have killed off this many dragons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's enjoyable, and like for us as well, having been made in Bray and the likes of the castle was done down in Glendalough.
Yeah, it's a great like little Irish one as well. Like I know it's an English film,
movie, but
it's an English film, but it's filmed in Ireland, so like it's a great positive for us to
some cast too.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like they may not have been the biggest names back then, but they weren't tiny names either. Like they'd all got a little bit of a name behind them.
As I said, like Matthew McConaughey, I don't know what he was trying to do with this movie. Was he trying to become an action star? Did he just pick this up just for something to do? I think he was fucking jacked.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to try his hand at it. I think that's the type of actor he is. He likes to try his hand at all these different types of roles.
Yeah, he's a great actor. He is a great actor.
Yeah,
Christian Bale's not a bad actor either. He was Jared Butler, to be fair.
Yeah, no, they all do well. They all do very well in it. It's a strange film. Like it's not amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but it's
creature feature though.
It's good. Like it's an enjoyable one. It's definitely, I think, the best of the creature features we've done from this month.
Probably. Although I do have a partial to Anaconda. I'm not sure why. But...
Yeah, no, but like there's ones you prefer because of certain things. I think as an actual film, this is probably
probably the best of them. Yeah,
probably the best of them. Obviously, we re-uploaded the one from Jaws, but I'm not including that as one of the ones we did this month. I've re-uploaded the Jaws one, but
Jaws is in fact the greatest creature feature ever.
Yeah, like I'm not including that because that was recorded ages ago, so I'm not including that in this. I know I re-uploaded it, but. So I'm not saying it's better than Jaws, just so everyone knows that. But I think it's probably the best of the ones we did here. Yeah, there's a few little bits in here. I don't know. Did you notice it? Do you know when they kill the female dragon? And they're going off to kill the male dragon. We see that Quinn goes into the female dragon and he takes something out of her, and it looks like it's an egg.
Yeah, that's what I always thought. Yeah,
but then they do nothing with it. I always wondered, like, what the heck, like, what?
I always wondered, did they mean to make a second one of these?
I don't know. Yeah, see, it didn't do massively well. So I was like, was this like an idea of how we'll do a second one? Or was this a thing of like, he was going to use this to learn how to kill them or what? But they just never mention it again. That's it.
I mean, they could have just had the next scene with them having scrambled egg.
They could have done anything with it, but they just never do. I'm sure there's probably some deleted footage out there, or hidden extras or something from the DVD. I'm sure there's something that does it somewhere, a director's cut somewhere. But for everyone else, and for me watching random, you're just like, oh, well, what the fuck was that?
I watched that on DVD. I know I didn't even think to check if there was deleted scenes, but
but it's just a strange little bit, like why the hell did they do that? And then obviously, as I said earlier, the Americans managing to make it over with all these tanks, and then.
There's a lot of plot holes to it.
And then there's, 3 months later, they've wiped out this entire dragon species, and you could see there was like thousands of them. There's a few little bits and pieces, but you have to suspend your disbelief for creature features.
It's a dragon movie. Like, what do you expect? You're not going to get an Oscar winner.
Yeah, and I do like that we didn't get to see them just kill all the dragons, and they didn't claim that they killed them all either. As you said, maybe the dragons just left. They just said, no one's seen a dragon in 3 months. And as we said, like there's only one male, so maybe there's another male on another planet somewhere, and
On
you
another
know,
continent, yeah.
well, not another continent because we know these dragons are all from the one dragon, but like another planet or something. Like who's saying that there isn't like a dragon colony on like some other planet and they're gone there, and they never
Maybe.
address it or anything. So yeah, it's not an amazing film, but I definitely think it's an enjoyable one to sit down. I really enjoyed it more than I think a lot of other people do.
Yeah,
And
I
you're the same.
really, I remember watching this when it first came out, and obviously had a big vested interest because it was made. I found out it was made in Bray, like,
Yeah,
and I remember falling in love with it. I was like, yeah, what a movie!
yeah. No, it's
What?
great, and it's a great way for us to finish out the creature feature month here,
Yeah, I
because
mean
it
the
ends
other
on a
pick that we
positive.
had that we won't tell you what it is because we'll throw one out later on.
Yeah, we'll do it at some other point, but that's another great one as well.
That's a
Uh,
classic.
we wanted to end on kind of one of the high notes of it, because obviously Anaconda, as much as you love it, is quite poor. Deep
Yeah,
Blue Sea, although like I think Deep Blue Sea is quite good, and I think it's better than Anaconda. It's still not a great one to
it's
end on
in
either.
they're in like Anaconda, Deep Blue Sea, and what was the first one we done? Uh,
The first one
oh, I'm having
was
an absolute mind blank here. I'm calling the COVID brain here.
Dog Soldiers, which is probably the
Oh,
best one. Actually,
yeah,
now that I think about it, Dog Soldiers is definitely the best of the lot of them.
yeah.
Dog Soldiers is better than this.
I forgot that we had the thing COVID brain. Dog Soldier's the best. Rain of Fire, Anaconda, and then or Deep Blue Sea, and then Anaconda. Yeah.
Yeah, started strong, two kind of weaker ones in the middle, and then I
Uh,
feel we ended strong. Now, some people might disagree that this isn't great, and that's fair enough. You know, as we've always said, films are subjective, but I think this is very solid.
yeah. This is quality around, and it's like this is the biggest cast we've done. I know Anaconda has J Lo and Ice Cube, but when you look at the stars that are in this now,
Who they went on to be, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
like J Lo is terrible in Anaconda. The three lads in this do their job very fucking well. Even the one Alex does well. She's in a good few things too.
She was in a good few things. This is actually probably closing in on the end of her career, because she was in she was in James Bond and stuff before this.
Yeah,
So this is actually probably coming to the end of her career rather than the start. Like she's probably the biggest name in it in that sense
I'd say so. Yeah,
at the time. Now she's been surpassed by all three of
yeah. Well,
the others.
the three lads have been fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
Like Matthew McConaughey's an Oscar winner.
yeah, Christian Bale. Everyone knows Christian Bale, and then
Yeah,
Jared
Jared Butler.
Butler's.
He's
You
kind of
know,
gone off the deep end a little bit. Like I know he went on. He had some great movies with the likes of Law Abiding Citizen and whatnot. But like, he just disappeared.
yeah, in recent years he's kind of dropped off a little bit, but I think as you said, yeah, it's a cast that went on to be quite strong.
Yeah,
And obviously the Irish connection does make us love this film, but that'll be the end of the creature feature month for us, and we'll be back next week with a new genre of film. But until then, good luck.